12 degrees, wind chills to 20 below zero. For tomorrow, Monday, a few scattered light snow flurries in the morning. Scattered clouds becoming partly cloudy by afternoon. High of only 18 degrees tomorrow. Wind chills again around 20 below zero. Tuesday morning, frigid but sunny, 0 degrees for a low, 28 for a high. And you can see how it starts to warm up by Thursday. We reach into the 50s. But protect yourself, protect your pipes, and bring in
Georgia students who took to the streets of Athens today with a march and protest rally against academic favoritism, which has been revealed in federal court. Tom Jackson has a story now from our Athens Bureau. Tom?
John, the students rallied in front of the office of UGA President Fred Davison on North Campus right behind me here. The students said they held the rally despite the weather because they wanted to show how strongly they are against the university's special treatment of athletes and influential people.
We want bread! We want bread! We want bread! We want...
They call themselves the Students Against Campus Corruption, or SACC. Their call is for the sacking of UGA Vice President Virginia Trotter and her assistant Leroy Irvin for their roles in favoritism to athletes, as has come out in the Jan Kemp lawsuit. It gives a new twist to an old familiar cheer. Despite a temperature of 14 and a wind chill of 20 below, the students spent most of an hour marching and hearing speeches.
If Fred Davison, we say, what happened to the mandate for excellence?
President Davison was in Savannah on business and did not hear the protests against what students have come to call Trottergate.
President Nixon tried to hide in his Oval Office. It didn't work for him either.
A mock auction of a UGA diploma brought bids ranging from a touchdown to a wooden nickel. The speakers, both students and alumni, said favoritism to athletes is only a symptom of deeper problems.
The real problem is the Athletic Association and the interference its interference into the academic affairs of the university.
Athletes and persons with connections should not be given preferential treatment because of their revenue-producing capabilities.
But UGA officials maintain athletic favoritism is not what the Kemp trial is about.
The case that's in court is about the non-renewal of an untenured assistant professor whose lawyers have made it something beyond that, trying to put the university on trial in this Developmental Studies Program and so forth. The issue is non-renewal of a faculty member.
University officials contend only one side of the case has yet been heard and expect to directly refute much of Kemp's allegations. But as students marched from the president's office through campus and onto the Sanford Stadium Bridge, their list of officials they want sacked grew ever longer. We asked the UGA spokesman if they expect Dr. Davison to directly address this growing protest over academic favoritism for athletes. They responded there could be no further comment until the trial is concluded. John?
Tom, do you think the furor is going to die down if university officials win the Kemp case?
Well, John, as you know, the Kemp case is over the narrow issue of the reason she was fired. I think they'll try to claim that their position has been vindicated if they win that case, but I don't know that it would calm the furor if they try to take that position.
Damage has been done to a certain extent, I guess.
It seems that. It seems it's going to have to be more of an answer than just why Jan Kemp was fired.
Thank you, Tom. Tom Jackson reporting live from Athens.
The pressure is on Georgia lawmakers to stop public schools from graduating uneducated athletes.
The message is to restore academic integrity to the classrooms across the nation and allow people their civil rights in this country.
It's the money awarded by the jury that really gets one's attention. Punitive damages of $1.5 million were assessed against Dr. Virginia Trotter, Georgia's Vice President for Academic Affairs. $800,000 to Kemp were assessed against Dr. Leroy Irvin, the Director of Developmental Studies and Kemp's boss. She was also awarded $200,000 for mental stress, $79,000 in back pay, and $1 for damage to her professional reputation.
We asked them to make it heard, and they did. No, I think it was plenty to get their attention. I think when an administrator costs the University of Georgia and the people of this state that much money, it's going to get everybody's attention.
Dr. Kemp and her lawyers continued to say the money is less important than reforms at the University of Georgia.
Do I think there should be changes in the athletic academic process? Absolutely. That's part of what this case is all about. Particularly, the primary change should be that teachers should be permitted unfettered leeway to discuss the issue. That's why we're here.
I would like to say once and for all that I think developmental studies is a fine program, and I hope to continue working somewhere in developmental studies. I believe in it.
You want to go back to teaching?
Of course I want to go back to teaching.
Can you go back with Dr. Irvin still there?
I certainly could. It wouldn't bother me one bit.
Doctors Irvin and Trotter refused comment except to express disappointment. Their lawyer, Hale Allman, said consideration whether to appeal will be made later. This is the case that started out with the firing of one member of one faculty at one state university, granted a big one, the oldest land-grant college in this country, a very important university. But it was just one individual starting this dispute with something she thought was wrong. Once it got into the courtroom, it seemed to blossom and grow into something even bigger than Jan Kemp herself. And the fallout from that may be falling out for a long time to come. John and Chuck?
Neil, how would you characterize the atmosphere at the victory party? It seems rather restrained.
Well, they're restrained, but mostly that's because they're so tired. It's been a terrible strain for Jan Kemp. This has been going on really for her for 4 years or so. Her family and her friends that have stuck by her are really wrung out, and they really, I don't think, know yet the realization of what's happened.
Thank you very much, Neil. Neil Craig reporting live from the Radisson Inn.
State Attorney General Michael Bowers says he hasn't decided yet whether the state will appeal today's verdict. Members of the defense team met privately this afternoon in Bowers' office. Bowers saying after the meeting that he'll probably decide what course to take in the next few days.
$1.5 million. Well, I'm certainly not happy. And I'm surprised at the size of the verdict. Before any decision to appeal or not to appeal is made, a number of people have to be consulted. We have not done that, and therefore I can't comment.
The Kemp verdict hit like a bombshell at the University of Georgia. Tom Jackson joins us now from our Athens Bureau with reaction from university officials. Tom?
Chuck, university officials have claimed all along that the trial was only about a personnel question, the dismissal of a non-tenured instructor, Jan Kemp. They've complained that the testimony and the news coverage strayed far afield into questions of admissions policies and the treatment of student athletes. But with today's astounding $2.5 million verdict, President Fred Davison says he will study all issues raised in the testimony and will respond fully and appropriately with any personnel or program changes he finds warranted.
You can give them all the same. Yeah.
Behind closed doors through the early afternoon, President Fred Davison met with his vice presidents, the faculty athletics chairman, the law school dean, and public relations officials. In a prepared statement, he reiterated that a personnel decision was the trial's legal issue, but acknowledged it had come to involve much more.
I have requested from the Attorney General a complete briefing of the facts found in this case and all issues raised. While the glare of publicity has focused on individual statements, reasoned judgments require a complete picture. No personnel or program decisions will be made until I receive the Attorney General's report. The University of Georgia conducts its programs in an open and public manner. It will do so in this case and will respond fully and appropriately to the facts in this instance.
Davison declined to answer any questions. Athletic Director Vince Dooley was informed of the verdict by a reporter as he attended a Civic Club meeting. He declined direct comment on the verdict or the size of the award, but said he believes the testimony cleared his athletic department of any wrongdoing.
There have been no violations, no rules broken from our standpoint, so we're proud of that. And when you consider the intensity of the investigation, that everything that we've done has been laid open to the public, I think that's a compliment to our program.
Dooley adds he doesn't think any long-term damage has been done to Georgia's sports program.
Our feet are solid, that we're on the ground. Certainly the strong winds of criticism have swayed us a little bit, but we're still strong, and I think we'll be stronger as a result of the experience.
Ironically, this verdict comes today on the same day as high school football seniors sign around the state, and Georgia apparently has done quite well, including the signing of a talented defensive lineman from Winder with an SAT score of 1,130. And the university also announced today that even if other schools choose to do so, it will not make use of a loophole in the new NCAA rule, which would allow freshmen to slip into college by sitting out a year, even if they don't meet the new NCAA 700 SAT minimum. Now, Chuck, perhaps those two events signal the beginning of a new day in Georgia athletics.
Maybe so. Thank you, Tom. Tom Jackson reporting live from Athens.
The head of the university's system is promising a complete investigation into any questionable academic practices at the University of Georgia. Chancellor Dean Probst of the university system appeared with two members of the Board of Regents this afternoon to respond to the Kemp verdict. The chancellor said the questions raised during the trial must be addressed for the good of the university as well as its reputation.
It is neither an effective excuse nor a sound justification to argue that certain things are done because everyone else does them. The current national turmoil in intercollegiate athletics is the result of a win-at-all-cost mentality. It is a result of misplaced priorities for which many of us must share the blame.
One person who may come under fire is University President Fred Davison. The Board of Regents did not vote to renew his contract as was originally scheduled today. However, the vice chairman of the board said that does not mean it won't be renewed, just that they didn't get around to it today. As the jury was deliberating the Kemp verdict, a handful of college students picketed the Georgia Board of Regents meeting. Marie Ryan says a group called Students Against Campus Corruption is calling for an end to the kinds of events that led to the Kemp trial.
They weren't waiting for any jury verdict. To these students, the Kemp trial merely aired UGA's dirty laundry. Admission practices, they say, they want cleaned up and right away.
They want to wait till the verdict. Personally, I don't think the verdict in the trial has anything to do with the academic abuses. They're not allegations anymore. They've been admitted.
The picket was for the benefit of these people, the Board of Regents, which oversees Georgia's university system. The students were not allowed to address the board, though, since they weren't on the agenda for today's meeting. But as students didn't get their victory at the Board of Regents meeting this morning, they found it a few minutes later, a few blocks away, when a different group sent a message to the university, and that message came across loud and clear. Jan Kemp was smiling after a jury voted in her favor and against the university, and students who earlier had been protesters became part of a victory party.
It's a great victory for civil liberties, and it sends a message to the University of Georgia, to the administration, that it better clean up its act.
I'm well pleased with the verdict, and I think it will encourage other faculty members at the university and other colleges and universities where these sorts of abuses are occurring. It will encourage them to speak up.
So with their picket signs put down, the students hung around the federal courthouse this afternoon. To them, Jan Kemp's victory here was part theirs. Marie Ryan, 11 Alive News, the federal courthouse.
The nationwide publicity drawn by the Kemp trial has put both college athletics and the University of Georgia in an unpleasant spotlight. We went downtown this afternoon to get people's reaction to today's jury award and the verdict's impact on the University of Georgia.
That's too much money for it to be fired. You can't keep a job forever. If you do something wrong, she'd be fired. She did some things wrong.
Perhaps she was fired unjustly, but I don't think she should have got that much money. I just am afraid people are going to look down more on the university, graduates from that school because of this.
I guess that's probably what this will do, open up Pandora's box. And,
as far as college athletics go?
Yeah, I would imagine, you know. Given the fact that litigation is what it is today, I'm sure there's a lot of Jan Kemps all over America waiting.
University of Georgia has been having a lot of controversy. Everything's just falling down on them. It's just bad times for them. But, no, I don't think it's going to hurt them. You know, it might help them some. You know, a little controversy helps sometimes.
All the students aren't in athletics, so therefore I don't think it should make them look bad, too, because they didn't have anything to do with it. It's the professor's fault.
But if the football team's winning, nobody will say anything anyway. You know, I think that's the kind of the bottom line.
Most of the people we spoke with felt that UGA didn't treat its athletes any different than other major universities with powerful sports programs.
Coming up, the State Board of Medical Examiners files charges against 2 doctors in connection with botched circumcisions at Northside Hospital.
But first, a Georgia State trooper is alive due to a faulty gun. Details when 11 Alive News continues.
He proved to us that he is a proud Georgia graduate, but as for the Kemp verdict,
the message is very clear that this situation has to be addressed, and it certainly has to be stopped. And the public is not going to stand for this type of double standards in our university system.
And then there was Governor Harris, caught between wanting to take a tough stance on academic standards and fearing he might appear to be undercutting the authority of the Board of Regents. The governor played it safe this afternoon.
I feel like that the corrective measures that will be taken will, again, send the signal to the world that Georgia is moving forward. Higher education has not or will not be impacted by something of this nature.
Well, as so often happens down here in reaction to an event that matters to these people, there are 2 resolutions that have now been introduced, both of them from the Senate. One from Senator Culver Kidd and one from Senator John Foster, who's the head of the Education Committee. Both of them are resolutions urging that the Board of Regents do something to correct the kinds of problems that have been brought to light by the Kemp trial. And finally, these legislators will, in fact, get involved with this verdict, because if it is not appealed, or if the appeal is lost by the state, then this body is going to have to find $2 million to award to Jan Kemp. That money will come out of the state budget. So we'll be following the Kemp trial long after the publicity over it has died down. Terry and Monica?
Okay, thank you very much. That's Bill Naggett live at the state capitol. And still to come on Channel 2 Action News. Georgia's hottest item in the high school sports reveals where he hopes his future in college football will be. Sports director Chuck Dowd